Welcome to the London Property Podcast, your go-to source for navigating the complex and ever-changing London real estate market. Our digital marketplace provides informative and educational content from industry leaders through podcasts and videos. We cover various aspects of the real estate experience, including buying and selling, finance, law, tax, construction, design, and more. Join us as we delve into the latest trends and developments in the market and gain valuable insights from our panel of experts.
Hello and welcome to London Property. I'm your host Farnaz Fazaipour, and today we're delighted to welcome to the show Jude Coleman. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Jude and I are going to discuss a subject which will hopefully make your life a lot easier than it is at the moment. And it's a subject of furniture packages and how you can rent them, you can use them for your investments, you can use them to stage your properties. But before we dig into that, I'm going to ask Jude to give us a little background on himself, about how you got into this industry and tell us about your experience so far.
Thanks, Farnaz. So I've been in this game for just over 20 years. Started at a company that was very small, that then grew to turn over about £40 million, and one of the market leaders, employ sort of over 200 people there. And I've seen the market shift tremendously over the last 20 years, obviously, where then it was exciting to have a £2,000 furniture pack, and now we're doing things which are 100, 200 grand, which is amazing. Now I'm starting a new adventure, and it's a company called Newton & Young, with a number of colleagues of mine. We are looking at focusing primarily on prime London and actually looking at furniture packages, property staging, high-end interior design, and something that I think this side of the property market really is crying out for.
Yes, exactly. So when it comes to furniture packages, I mean, having used your services, which is how we met, what's music to my ears is the simplicity of it all. Mm. So when people are buying a rental investment, and primarily that's kind of your target market, is a lot of rental investors, yes. Right? So when somebody's buying a rental investment and they can know for certainty that the place is fully furnished, including, the cutlery and the napkins, and that can take days. I mean, that's really the value that you're bringing to the market. Absolutely.
There's obviously a lot of foreign investors that are looking to buy in London, especially with the rates as they are at the moment, and they don't have the time, and they don't really want to get involved in looking to furnish a property. And we know, I'm sure we'll talk about the advantages of a furnished property and the benefits that you can get out of that. So investors are looking for somebody who can do all of that together, tie it all in, come and deliver, pick up some keys, furnish the property, ready for photos and ready for a tenant to move into. It's both the landlord and the tenants as well. The tenants want to see something that is furnished to a standard that they'll be used to, especially in prime London, where they are probably earning quite nicely, and they're not looking to come in and get a cheap leather look sofa in the property. They're looking for something that's going to suit their lifestyle of living. And so where we come in is we ensure that we are furnishing a property to complement the rents that a tenant is likely to pay, and therefore the likely earning potential of that tenant and what they're used to. So this service is available both for an investor to purchase and potentially rent? Absolutely. So rental furniture's come a long way in the last, certainly the last 5 or 6 years. Traditionally, rental furniture has been thought of cheap and nasty furniture that you just go and get off the back of a lorry and put something in. But actually, furniture rental has become a staple of landlords, investors, and developers as well. Whether it's renting a furniture pack, as we're talking about, or whether it's furnishing a show home that you just need to put on the market and on the sales market. But furniture rental, you've a lot of benefits to that. First of all, you obviously don't have the maintenance issue. If you're buying a furniture pack and something goes wrong, you're lumbered with that. Well, if you're renting furniture, it's normally there's a maintenance deal within that. So if something breaks within the rental term, you come in and we'll replace that for you. It's also got various tax benefits as well. So we're not going to pretend to be tax experts, but the little knowledge that I have, and then you can correct me if I'm wrong, but when you're renting furniture, then that actually becomes an ongoing expense that you can deduct. Whereas when you own things,
again, I might be wrong, but what I believe is that you just get a percentage allowance for wear and tear.
Correct. Yeah.
And also you get lumbered with the furniture, then they want it to be stored because they want this removed. And when you own it, it also gets out of date, so the next tenant might not like it. So there's a lot of reasons actually to as an investor, to go down the route of renting.
Absolutely. And actually the one thing you haven't mentioned, which very often is the key to it, is the initial outlay that you've got to spend, whatever it, £10,000 on a furniture pack to put into a property, where obviously with renting furniture, you can spread that cost over often 2-3 years potentially. So it's really a big cash saving for you when there's a lot of other expenses that as a landlord you're going to have to start off a tenancy with.
Right. So, and then with the rental option, I guess the longer you commit, the more you're able to be reasonable on the pricing, because you know that, okay, I've invested £10,000 in this package and they're going to take it for 3 years without a break. So you can
absolutely
charge accordingly.
Oh, so yes, absolutely. So there is a point where furniture rental won't be as beneficial as the outright purchase of a furniture pack, and actually those two costs will overlap. Sometimes it's sort of 14, 15 months where actually it would have been more beneficial to buy it outright, but not every landlord can do that. It's different from furniture leasing. That's what I would say. So leasing is you've got £10,000 on a pack and you're spreading that payment over a 3-year period with X amount of interest on there. So furniture rental is really a service where you're renting that furniture over a period of time. And yes, you are going to pay a slight premium for that. But again, the cash flow implications are certainly ones that any landlord would be silly not to think about.
You're going to see that I'm a real keen supporter of this in a minute. So the other thing is that when you're renting furniture, you're also able to sort of stay in fashion, right? Because you're not buying something and then you're lumbered with it and you're trying to make it look nice 6 years later. So with the furniture package, you can actually be quite up to date.
Absolutely, absolutely. And everything that we have and everything that we're supplying is obviously on trends. We go to the regular furniture shows. We go both in the UK and in Europe, and we make sure that we are staying on top of what what the market is demanding. So absolutely, having that furniture rental is going to keep you at the top and at the very niche new designs and everything that's coming in.
What about the sustainability aspect of all of this? So how do you address that? Because obviously, if you end up with lots of old furniture, then what happens to it?
So, good question. And actually, sustainability is one of the reasons why a lot of landlords and a lot of investors will choose to rent as well, because then they know that something is being done with it with a reputable company, as opposed to every tenancy sort of buying a whole new furniture pack. Having the rental option gives you that sustainability sort of intrinsic to the rental model. There's normally furniture is reused as much as possible. We normally try and go for sort of a 3-year depreciation on furniture. And eventually, when something comes to the end of the use, normally it goes to charity. We'll give that away. Or there are quite a lot of furniture charities that support the lower living, and we're happy to donate to that. So again, there is this cycle, and it's being used far more than just the one time that purchasing a furniture pack would necessarily have.
Because you're dealing with it on bulk, so you have a lot more access to actually make sure it goes to the right places.
Absolutely.
Whereas with the landlord, it kind of becomes, oh God, what do I do with this now? So now the market has evolved quite a lot since you started and since I started in the rental sector, and now we're going into a period where you've got all these build-to-rent operators and you've got people who own thousands and thousands of units. So how have you seen your industry evolve in this period?
The BTR market has just changed the way that landlords are having to deal with furniture. If you look at any of the smart developments across London and across the UK, there's such an emphasis placed on furniture and high-end furnishings, and everything accompanying that. So the rooftop gardens and the bar and the gym and everything that's going into these amazing developments, and that's put real pressure on landlords and investors and developers to make sure that they are keeping up with it. If you are a traditional landlord with a small, Victorian terrace and you're converting that into 3 flats, no longer can you put something cheap and cheerful in when down the road you've got this amazing, 50-story tower block that's got unbelievably modern, fresh, vibrant furniture in there and everything that's going with it, creating that community. So the BTR market has completely changed the way that landlords are having to look at furniture. No longer is it just, I've got a furnished property. That furniture really makes a tangible difference to actually how quickly you're going to get a tenant in and the quality of the tenants as well.
So obviously staging is the sibling of renting furniture. And I know that whenever I suggest to a client, well, maybe if we stage it, it'll sell better, or, it'll show better and whatever, they're always just like, oh, no, it's so expensive. I don't want to do that. And, a lot of the times it is. You end up, paying thousands per week for an indefinite period of time because you don't really know when the property is going to actually be taken or sold or rented or whatever. So how would you differentiate yourself in that market for staging?
So it's a really good question, and we have that the whole time when clients come to. We've got this lovely £3 million property in Kensington, but it's going to cost an absolute fortune to furnish it, to stage it. So the first thing I tell them is that obviously it doesn't cost as much as you think, and you don't have to furnish a full property. Very often, a master bedroom, a sort of a study, living and reception room are the best things to stage, just because that is the first impression that you get. But if you think about it, it normally works out around between 0.05 and 1% of a property value to stage it for a 3-month period. And if your other option is actually to drop the price by 5 to 10%, then it's a no-brainer, because that's what you're stuck with. And then you've really lost a huge amount on top of it. But the stats speak for themselves. I've got a whole bunch here. Rightmove, who obviously leader in presenting properties, stage homes get 60% more views online. 60%.
I can imagine.
Yeah. Another one, 90% of people actually search online to start with, and they spend 2 seconds on an ad with no photos and 20 seconds on an ad that's got good photos on there. The Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors found that stage homes can actually achieve normally 8% over the asking price, which is, again, just amazing to think. And stage homes spend half the amount of time online than properties that are unfurnished. So.
And do you have any financing arrangements for these kind of things, or it's something that they're just going to have to pay in advance and... Or can you work with clients on that?
So there are actually specialist furniture leasing finance companies that we're happy to work with, and we're happy to put your clients in touch. I think what you find with the staging is once it's in, even if you just do it for a couple of months, 2 or 3 months, which is sort of the minimum that we'd suggest. At the very least, you get some amazing new photos of the property. You can have a bit of a relaunch. And the amount of times that we've found it helps sort of from the get-go, from suddenly there's renewed interest in it. And if you have a look on any of the portals online, almost every prime property is furnished. And again, we were talking about earlier, the emotional connection to that. It's because, as you said, your first impression is you move into a property, and if you have this huge empty space, it's like, well, what are you going to do? You want to imagine yourself living there. As soon as you walk into a property. So furniture staging has really taken off more than ever in the last sort of 5 or 6 years. Especially whenever we're talking about the government, obviously with the different second home, the tax on the second home, but people are looking to sell their properties as quickly as possible. There are normally 2 peaks for that, sort of March and April time, and in September. So certainly we would advise. Work towards the peaks. Get your property fully furnished, staged, ready to be viewed by everybody, because it undoubtedly helps.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And actually, the days that people used to go all around the world with their furniture is finished. Nice. There was a time where all your corporate moves came with the packaging of taking your stuff with you, and nobody does that anymore.
No, absolutely not. And the one thing I would add actually to that is, don't do it yourself. People are very tempted. Oh, I've got a sofa that, in my garage sitting there. Just do not do it yourself, because you need a professional to come in, work on the space. We'll put in the artwork. We'll put in mirrors, soft furnishings, the lifestyle accessories. The vases, the plants that just make that we talk about make your house into a home, and it really does that. There's nothing worse than walking into a really large room and seeing a small bed in the corner with no bedding, and say that, like, if you're thinking of doing that, don't do it. Get somebody like us out. Newton & Young will come out. We'll make sure that the property reflects the value that you're trying to sell it for.
Yeah, invest to get more back is always the the winner, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So the other thing that I was going to ask you is actually on the subject of interior design, because obviously we're going to have interior designers who are looking at this saying, okay, right, you're going to put packages together, they're going to be nonsense. But how do you deal with that aspect of it? Do you collaborate? Is there space for collaboration with interior designers, or is your interior design in-house? How does that model work in the context of what you're doing?
We collaborate on a regular basis with interior designers. So we work with some very high-end designers. We do quite a lot with the footballer market. So footballer market, as you might expect, if a footballer's coming in, especially, so we're talking about January transfer window, if they're coming in for a 6-month tenancy and moving to a club, they don't want to buy the furniture. Sometimes they'll go for an empty property. So we will often work with a footballer with their wives, who are often designers or wannabe designers, and we work with their design team as well to put together exactly what we want. Exactly what they want, and so it's absolutely collaboration. We're not tied down to any particular designer, not particularly any shops, any factories, etc. We've got the whole market open to us. So actually, working with my design team, the creative director will take on what she thinks will work for a property, what she thinks will work for a tenant or an owner-occupier. But we are more than happy to work with designers to actually get that final look and feel right.
And how does that process work now from, okay, I want a package?
So good question. It varies, to be honest, because sometimes if it's for an investor, I had one yesterday, they'll send us the floor plan, they'll give us a budget quite often, or we can work out a budget based on what the likely rent is going to be. We'll put together the package, something that we think will suit the developer. The development, we'll send that off, and away we go. Very often that will be it. While sometimes you'll have a client who really wants to get involved. We'll meet at the property, we'll go through, they'll tell us the colour schemes that they like, what they had in there previously, how they want to dress a particular room. And there'll be quite a lot of iterations back and forth, and eventually we'll get to a point where they're happy. A lot of the time we're dealing with one particular client at the moment in Landmark in East London, lovely development, and they're looking to spend quite a lot of money with us, which is great, and we're working with their design team. And again, back and forth, we've had sort of 5 or 6 Zooms where we're just working out room by room exactly what they'd like to have in there, what they're using the room for, the sort of fabrics. We're going through the fabrics and the colours and eventually they'll come to London and probably touch and feel everything to make sure that they're happy with that. And then it will all go in, and they'll move here, and they'll be delighted.
And what's the sort of from an average from when they say yes, we want to go ahead to delivery?
So that could be depending on whether it's a bespoke package or not. Sometimes it can be as quick as next week if they're completed on the property. Certainly, if it's an investment property that they're looking to get in as quickly as possible. If we're looking at bespoke fabrics and bespoke joinery, that can sometimes be 2 to 3 months. But again, the advantage that we have is, even though it might be 3 months, actually, if they wanted to move in sooner, they can rent furniture from us, and so they can move in with some lovely premium furniture and then get their own furniture that they've ordered when it's ready.
So I imagine a lot goes on behind the scenes, and some of that's going to be actually having this furniture that you can access immediately, because even with the best will in the world, going to Peter Jones to get your stuff is going to take you 6 to 8 weeks to get done. Absolutely.
We've got a huge warehouse. We've actually got 2 huge warehouses, one in the north of England in Chesterfield and one in Kent in Sittingbourne, and everything comes out of that. So we are ready and mobilised with huge teams, our own installation teams, our own designers, and the stock ready to go. So if we have an emergency call and somebody says, "Oh, I've got a tenant moving in on Friday, is there anything you can do?" We don't like saying no. We'll do our best to get that down there.
Brilliant. Well, having used your services, and the furniture's still looking great after longer than you said, I know how easy it is. I know that it is really very much a sort of drag and drop and deliver. So we're really looking forward to expanding some of these offerings to our listeners, and we look forward to watching you bloom in your next adventure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
And if you are a rental investor or you have a property you want to sell, and you want to explore the idea of getting furniture or staging furniture, renting furniture, then do please get in touch, and we'll make sure that you speak the experts in the field and find a solution that's right for you.
Thanks for tuning in to our latest episode of the London Property Podcast. Head over to our website where you can browse our exclusive network of top experts driving the market. As a member, you'll have direct access to our experts and their networks. Our award-winning content will help you choose the right professionals for your needs and make informed decisions about your investments. Personal recommendations are a powerful tool in connecting with trusted professionals. Let us introduce you to the right people to help you achieve your real estate goals. Contact us now to learn more about becoming a member and gaining access to these valuable resources, or joining our directory of experts.